What's up, universe? Josh Percolari here with another video for my VO journey. This is going to be video number 3 in the series so far. Previously, we talked about just getting started, some of the gear, some of the things to get going. Last week, we focused on a specific website, Bunny Studio, and my auditioning for that and some takes and basically me recording that audition in order to be put onto their website. And in this episode, as you might see, I've got a little bit different backdrop behind me. I actually have a backdrop behind me, and we're going to be talking about that and some learns from the last couple of weeks, specifically around that Bunny Studio audition that I did, and then what has basically accumulated because of that and what's currently going on with my journey. So buckle up. It's going to be a fun video with a lot of information. And as always, you can find that in the description below, just below that subscribe button. So if you enjoyed this journey so far and you want to see more, hit subscribe, hit that bell so you know when new videos are live. Trying to keep on a weekly basis so far, hitting about midweek. So I'm feeling pretty good about the rhythm, and hopefully we can keep that up as we keep going forward. Anyway, let's catch the video. So as you see, one major difference, as I just kind of touched on, is my backdrop. It is basically my own little homemade recording booth, per se, right now. So as you saw in my first video, I do have some acoustic tiles, very thin, pretty cheap acoustic tiles on the wall. It's actually right here next to me. Move the camera so you can see that there. I moved some of those tiles from the top part because I'm not too worried about the sound that's hitting above my head. I'm not echoing quite to that degree. I really want to focus all of my efforts where the mic and where my voice is around me here. So I did move some of the tiles from the very top of that wall and put them behind my monitors, just basically behind the camera where you're sitting. But I had all of this room behind me, the entire office, the mess that it is, excuse that, little shared space with holiday and craft leftovers just kind of spewed about. But it's a big area and there's a lot of room for sound to bounce around, especially coming from behind me off of that wall and back at the microphone. So one thing that I've learned, especially in the last week, if I've not touched on it before, is that almost more important than what the equipment is you're using is the space that you're recording in. I did touch on in the first video about how people record in the closet and discussed a little bit about that just because that sound area is way better. And with my setup, with my computer and everything like that, I don't really have an option to record in a closet. I would have to, buy more equipment in order to do that. And that's just not something I want to do. I really want to be working with the equipment I have and not spend any more money before I start making some money. So I'm making do. And you say, well, what's this behind you? Didn't you spend money on that? Well, technically, no. I had a leftover Lowe's gift card sitting around from holidays, and all this took was some PVC piping and a couple of blankets that were sitting in a closet not being used. So I came out pretty darn even. Got lucky with the Lowe's gift card, but $30 of PVC pipe, and I can make myself an enclosure with a couple of blankets. Not too shabby. So I'll put here a little sped up version of me putting this guy together. Only took me 5 minutes in actual recorded time, and it'll go a lot faster here, but so you can see a little bit of what the room looks like before and what it looks like after the actual setup. Cool. So fairly simple. Like I said, about 5 minutes total time actually pulling the PVC pipes out of the closet, realizing, what connectors are still connected to each piece and putting it back together. If you're curious, the dimensions of this is 4 feet wide on each side. So it's half basically of a square, and then 6 feet tall. The biggest reason I made it that tall is honestly because the length of pipe that was sold at Lowe's is 10 feet. And I know because of this space, I wanted to be by 4 feet, and I just didn't want to make extra cuts. And honestly, it just works when I stand up, and it's nice to have it taller. It's a big plus. It just kind of worked out that way, though. My next idea, whether or not this is going to happen, I do have a couple extra pieces of PVC that I have not cut because I kind of want to put a ceiling on it. I know that sounds crazy, but the ceilings in here are 9-10 feet tall. No, that sounds too tall. 8 feet tall probably. And it's all hard. I don't have soundproofing up there. I'm not going to put soundproofing up there. And so putting a couple of support bars over and then running a bar this way and actually have it supported maybe on the desk beside me is an idea I've been churning through my brain. How feasible that's going to be, and if I can make that work. I just haven't poured that time into it. But I might be closed in even a little bit more. Not that you'll be able to tell on video, but hopefully on recordings, it will sound a little bit more dampened, and you're not getting any echo off the ceiling especially. So we'll see what happens. Maybe next week I'll have an update. So besides the new booth, basically that I've enclosed, I want to talk about Bunny Studio. So last week's video was a lot of me auditioning for that, as I discussed in that video. Bunny Studio doesn't just let anyone on. You have to audition, and you have to pass their QA, basically, their quality assurance, to make sure that your recordings and your quality and standards are going to meet theirs. I unfortunately received a request to revise my recording. Basically, I had too many mouth sounds, and I don't remember the other thing, but they sent me a nice email and said, okay, hey, you've got mouth sounds and, yada, yada. Here you've got, X amount of time to revise and record. So I did. I re-recorded and, felt that I had a really good sounding demo or, audition for them. Submitted that, and very quickly, which I didn't have to wait. They weren't dragging their feet about it, but very quickly I did receive another email saying that, they were sorry that, I didn't quite meet their standards and I was not going to be allowed to be a VO on Bunny Studio. That was pretty disappointing, to be honest. I was a little frustrated. Obviously, I put a lot of time and effort into that. But they did have some really good feedback, on what was missing or what was wrong and what I could do better and what they really look for, and whether this be just something that they send to make you feel good. But one stat basically that they included in that email was that only 2% of applicants get accepted onto Bunny Studio. And I found that surprising, but that also tells a lot about what that site is and what they're looking for and where you need to be, with your space and with your knowledge and know-how and recording ability to be on that site. So that's a lesson learned, and that's okay. I'm not upset that I put that time into it, because I learned a lot, and now I know, in the future, if I want to re-audition for their site, I'm going to be ready and I know what it's going to take. So, I guess my piece of advice that I'm going to distill down to you all is know what you're getting into. Maybe there was information out there that I could have looked into to know more about that and be expecting or spend more time or just say, I'm not at that level yet. I am just beginning. So let's put Bunny Studio on the back burner and let's try somewhere else. So I'm going to save you guys from putting in that time and that effort, and take that step for sure. Don't avoid Bunny Studio, but take that step when you're ready, because they do have very, very, very high standards. And that's awesome because you're going to find great quality VO on that site. So I'm excited to someday get back there, hopefully, if that's where my career needs to take me, is to more of these sites. But where I've been focusing my efforts and where I've been spending a lot of time is on Fiverr, Fiverr.com. Fiverr is something I did mention briefly in the first video, one of the free sites that you can sign up for, and it is truly free. A couple of those other sites, it's free to sign up, but then you have to pay to actually use their service. And so that's super disappointing. So I apologize if any of those links were misleading. I don't think I talked about that in the last video, but here we are. So Fiverr, though, totally free to actually sign up and get started. The process is pretty lengthy. I've spent most of the last week and, my free time here and there, a couple hours, watching videos about Fiverr to learn more, to know really what I'm getting into before I pour all the time into, creating a gig and doing all that. So a lot of it has been trying to prevent myself from getting just let down on that platform. And then some of it is also just the Fiverr process of getting started. It's a really great, a very thorough process, but it does take a lot of time and it takes some effort to get put up on there. So I created my bio and your info about you, all that good stuff. But in order to receive basically any offers to do work, to get paid, they work off of what they call gigs. A gig is basically just a little... it's what you're selling. It's your product, basically. So you create a description of what your gig is. So in this instance, it's going to be, male voiceover. I can do, calm and narrative or corporate or energetic. It has all these kind of bullet points and things that they want you to fill in and check mark so that people searching can find your listing and match it up. It also requires you to send in, some audio, at least one audio clip of you reading something. And so I looked up some just generic like ad reads that would be used on like TV or radio for like, a fake car company or a learning center, like a learning education center for children and things like that. Some different reads to try to showcase my energetic side, my calm and soothing side and things like that. So it requires a bit of work and it requires some knowledge as well to know what you're doing and setting up the gig, because that's where you set your price. And that's like your standard lowest price that you're going to do work for, X amount of words. There's add-ons that you can do. So if people are going to be using your stuff to broadcast or in a business setting and they need to, copyright, so you can add, X amount of money for those fees for your recording, and different people on there charge different amounts. So it's really good to go through and find other voice actors or, other people in your Fiverr genre to see what they're charging, to see what their, upcharges and extra fees and turnaround times and things like that look like. So like I said, a lot of research, a lot of looking around and figuring out what am I supposed to do? Because I want to be competitive. I want to be able to be seen and not just be like, oh, well, this guy doesn't know what he's doing or this guy is brand new, but see my profile and think, not look and see that I've done 0 pieces of work, but look at my profile and see like, oh, this guy can put out good work. Whether or not I've done any work yet, which I haven't, but I want to make the impression that I can, because I know I can. And it's just a matter of getting that ball rolling. So, that's obviously going to get started now. With that, there is a video, and video is greatly, greatly encouraged. Not only because it's a little bit higher quality, a little bit more work goes into creating a video. But it also, if you, have a picture of yourself or if you record yourself like this, it's very personal. And people today are looking for that personal connection. They're not looking for that, random no-faced announcer voice. They're looking for normal people like you and me. They're looking for people that the general public, anyone can connect with, whether that be your voice and that face. And people that are buying your voice can more easily connect with that voice when there's a face to go along with it, when there's something behind the voice. It's that emotional response, that deeper connection. So that's really big. So I've got my photo on my page. I included my photo inside of the gig. And so when you play just my audio recording, it's on top of my photo. But then I did have a video as well, and I just set that to a waveform. Basically, I did that in a program called Shotcut, which is how I make these videos as well. But I just did my takes of a couple of the commercials, and then put that into Shotcut, did the waveform, and that's my video. And then my picture on top of the other audio. So a couple of things in that gig. You can go check that out. Obviously, my Fiverr is going to be below from like now on. So yeah, definitely check that out. Look at my page, and hopefully that can be helpful. And if you are more experienced and you somehow stumbled across this and was thinking, I'd love to see what this Joe Schmo's got to say about voiceover. I bet he knows nothing. Please help. Feedback is wonderful. I will take it. Immensely grateful. Anyway, so Fiverr has been taking up a lot of my time. Now, as of recording this, my Fiverr gig is not yet live. They have to basically just look at my video and make sure that it meets their standards and I'm not doing anything crazy inside of it. Not the same type of process as Bunny Studio, like I'm going to get declined. But they may say something in the video, either if the audio is like completely messed up, which it shouldn't be because I checked it all. But if the audio is super messed up, or, if I was being vulgar and racist and stuff like that in the video, that standard quality assurance kind of thing. So hopefully by the time this video actually posts, though, it will be live. So feel free to follow that link, go check out my Fiverr site, and spread the good word. So I've talked a lot about Fiverr today, and I know a lot just because of what I've tried to absorb and learn from other people. So there are lots of other people out there that know way, way more than me about Fiverr, and they can be found. Honestly, I've been creating a saved YouTube playlist here, and I will make that public so that you all can see it as well, called Resources. So if you go over to the playlist tab on this channel, you'll see the Resources playlist, and that is just with things that I am finding very helpful as I go through my day, watching videos and trying to absorb stuff while I'm working, after work, things like that. And so that video, I hope that playlist is hopefully a good resource for you, as well as that information has been very important for me. So some really quality videos in there, some long form, some shorter, more to the point, more specific about Fiverr. But there's anything in there is going to be high quality, really good content to watch. And then from those videos, you can explore those creators. There's a handful of different creators in there as well. So you can explore them and see what else they have to say. So I definitely recommend checking that out, because I don't know everything about Fiverr. I'm just learning, and I'm trying to distill it down into little bite-sized segments for these types of videos that you guys can, get latched onto, take in that little bit of info, and then go search for more. So I'm hoping that these are at least like some super fruits. It's the most important stuff that I'm trying to give to you, and then you'll go get the minutia and the details and things like that. Or else we'd just be sitting here for hours and we'll never get anything accomplished, and we'll never actually do VO because I'm just talking to a camera all day. Which, content creation is not a bad thing, but this is not pulling in any money right now, so got to go make some money. All right, so I think that's going to do it for this third installment of my VO journey. We talked about my enclosure, how simple it is to set up, how inexpensive it is to set up, because you can use what you have sitting in a closet. And if you go to Lowe's and spend a few bucks on some PVC piping, I used 1-inch, by the way, I didn't mention that earlier, 1-inch PVC pipe with, the elbows and jazz. So fairly inexpensive. And then we also discussed Bunny Studio and what that process looked like for me and the outcome of that. Unfortunately, not getting on the site, but knowing that they have a high quality, standard, and what to expect when going into sites like that. Then we also touched on me going into Fiverr, spending a lot of time researching and just learning as much as I can before I hop in and let myself down or don't meet those expectations or requirements needed to be competitive. So a lot of time spent researching and learning as much as I can. And now submitting my first gig, hopefully by the time this posts, getting approved, and will be open for business. So can't wait to talk to you guys next week and give you an update, hopefully a really good one, and getting some work with Fiverr and looking elsewhere as well. So got a lot of things brewing up here. I just got to take the time and get it done. So until next time, I'm Josh Bergolari here at JBVO. Be well, be safe. See ya.